everyone, it's Yvonne, and thank you so much for joining us for another Mornings with Mayesh. Steve Dionne of the Executive Director of CalFlowers is going to be chatting with us today about a powerful campaign called That Flower Feeling. Whether or not you've heard of this campaign, I hope you stick around to learn more, hear how the campaign is done so far, what marketing assets are available to you to use, and understand how that flower feeling can uplift the entire floral industry, including your flower business. So before we get started, of course, I love to hear where you guys are from. Say hello. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, go ahead and post those in the comments and we'll get to those. Also, if you can't stay for the whole entire live, because we know that you all are busy and we're in the middle of the day, that's okay. The replay is going to be available immediately on Facebook and YouTube, and then we will post a replay up on Instagram since this live doesn't stick to there. We will put everything on our blog as usual, including the show notes. That includes any links and a podcast. So that way, if you are into podcasts and you want to listen, that is something easy that you can do. Before I bring Steve on, I just wanted to go over a couple more things. Our deadline for our third round of Fresh Pass, why can't I speak this morning? Our Fresh Path Customer Appreciation Giveaway is December 12th. So you have 12-ish more days to go ahead and enter that. We've teamed up with the amazing marketing agency Fresh Path to give away 20 marketing workshops. And there are 5 different packages that you can choose from. So it's super cool. Want to make sure you guys know about that. And then also we have something super exciting coming up. I can't believe it's next week already. December 7th, Wednesday at 12 p.m. Instead of Mornings with Mayesh, we are going to be doing our first ever Flower Jeopardy game show. So we have 4 amazing contestants lined up. And our host, of course, is going to be our own flower guru, David Dawson. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun watching these contestants answer some of these amazing questions that David came up with. So going to be a whole lot of fun. Stay tuned for that. And again, mark your calendars, December 7th at 12 p.m. Eastern. All right, so now we're going to get started. I'm going to bring on Steve. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Hey, Yvonne. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you. So before we get started, can you introduce yourself a little bit and share about your flower story?
Yeah, sure. My name is Steve Dionne. I'm talking to you from Fallbrook, California. I'm the Executive Director at CalFlowers. I've been in this position for just over 2 years now. I've been in the business for about 30 years. Wow, it seems strange to say that.
Yeah.
It's reality. So I guess it's been about 30 years. And during that time, I've mainly worked in the California floral industry. I started out in a family business. We were a floral broker, and then eventually opened a bouquet production division here in Southern California to serve the grocery stores. And then eventually that company sold to the USA Bouquet Company in Miami. So I spent about 3 years on the executive team of one of the larger Miami firms. Had a great experience working with that team down there. And then when I left USA Bouquet, I reached out to a business in Australia that I had done trading with for many years called Wafex. And Wafex and I set up a new company called Wafex USA here in the US. And Wafex USA specializes in the importation of primarily Australian and South African cut flowers. But we have other sales programs as well. We're still the experts on California sourcing. And we have an office in Ecuador as well. So it's kind of a well-diversified company with a lot of integration, both globally and nationally. That company now is being run by Mitch Hirota and Heather Merrick. I stepped away from the company during COVID and was very proud to accept the position at CalFlowers, where it's kind of an interesting transition because it's when you work in a private company, a private for-profit company, there's a lot of impacts you can make on your customers, your vendors, your staff, that sort of thing. But in this new role for me, I feel privileged to be able to try and make an impact on the broader industry at large. And so it's been a gratifying change for me. I've really enjoyed the shift in duties and responsibilities. It's a different ball game at the association level, but it's been very gratifying and a great deal of fun.
Awesome. And you definitely have helped make waves, I feel like, in your role and with this new campaign. And that's what we're here to talk about. And so, before we kind of dive more into the campaign, for those that may not know, can you tell us what that flower feeling is?
Yeah, I'd love to. Before I get too far into any details, I just want to make a point. You might hear me say this several times, but I'm the executive director at CalFlowers, but this effort, this major marketing initiative, has taken serious will and serious effort and commitment by the board of directors, by the rest of the staff at CalFlowers. So even though I'm the point person on this, it's truly been a team effort, and it's taken a large group of people with a serious dedication to the goal to get us where we are today. So I just want to give a shout out to all those that were really deeply involved in this project. Two in particular I'd like to mention are Jeannie Bose from the San Francisco Flower Mart and Joost Boongaerts from Flora Abundance. They headed up the committee at board level to oversee the process, and they were physically on site during the production of all the marketing materials, the creative process, that sort of thing. So it's been a good team that's been assembled internally as well as the agencies we worked with. And it's just important to me that everybody understands that this has been a real team effort on the CalFlower side. Um, but getting into that flower feeling specifically, basically for years now at CalFlowers, because I served on the board of directors for about 16 years before becoming staff. So I'm very intimately familiar with the association, its history, and that sort of thing. But for quite a few years, we've talked about something internally called the moonshot. And when we said the moonshot, what we meant was we had this kind of pool of resources that we wanted to leverage for the benefit of the industry, but we were constantly the board was constantly seeking ways to do that, and we kept returning to this core concept, this core issue, which is, could flower consumption on a per capita basis actually be increased in the United States market? What would it take to do that? And if we knew that if we did that, we could impact our members and the industry at large in the most significant way possible. But it's been kind of this elusive pipe dream that's existed in the floral industry for a very, very long time, ever since the days of promo floor not being continuing to be supported by the industry several decades ago. And so the CalFlowers board made the decision in June of 2021 to allocate the resources necessary to actually create a fully scaled national, professionally produced marketing campaign that we felt could actually move the needle on cut flower consumption. And that was the core idea. And what was born from that is that flower feeling brand, and then the Flowers Self Care Made Easy campaign, which is the first official marketing campaign under that flower feeling brand. And just to put some context around that, the brand itself is designed to endure. It's designed to be used over and over and over again. It was put together to be kind of a banner under which the entire floral industry could organize themselves from a consumer direct marketing standpoint and consistently reinforce positive marketing messages about the use and enjoyment of cut flowers in people's everyday lives for years and years and years to come. So for that reason, we did not make the brand associated with CalFlowers Association in any way, shape, or form. There's no references or loopbacks to CalFlowers. This was very intentionally and seriously done to benefit the entire floral industry. And I always like to point that out because most people still associate CalFlowers with being, quote unquote, the California Association, which in its founding it was, but we are truly a national association, and we have members in all different industry segments, from importers to wholesalers to retailers, event planners, transportation companies, domestic farms. We've really got a very diverse membership base, and so our goal was to create something that everybody could rally behind, whether they're a CalFlowers member or not. Something that was easy to recognize, people could see was just good for the industry, good messaging for flowers, and so that was why the brand was created. And then the campaign itself was specifically designed. It was an outflow of several bits of research that were done over the years, some here in the United States, some in Europe, which were designed to determine what actually motivates people to buy cut flowers in their everyday lives. So we know here in the U.S. market, um, in my opinion, the industry, we painted ourselves into a corner unintentionally a little bit over the last decades by allowing flowers to be categorized mainly as associated with life events or special events, whether that be weddings, funerals, birthdays, anniversaries, things of that nature. But unlike the European market, the U.S. consumer has not really ever reached a point where they view fresh cut flowers as an indispensable part of their weekly or monthly routine of having it in their presence in their home, um, and all the positive impacts that go along with that. So we decided to design a campaign that would highlight that, and we wanted to do it in a really kind of a lighthearted but edgy way that was designed specifically to appeal to 25 to 35-year-old age group. And so we wanted to be shareable, something that people would really enjoy pushing out on social media, something they put a smile on their face amidst a very crowded marketing environment out there, something they can find engaging and easy to relate to. And we feel like we've hit the mark based on the feedback we've gotten from the industry, from consumers themselves, through our post market research. It seems like the reaction to our campaign has been extremely positive, and we've been able to actually move the needle on flower consumption. And we're happy to be able to demonstrate that with our earliest sets of numbers that have come out from the campaign. So we feel like we've done what we've set out to do, which then launches into the next stage of that flower feeling development, which is fundraising throughout the industry so that we can maintain the marketing efforts that have been initiated by CalFlowers.
Very good. So much to get into in everything that you just said. But the first thing I feel like we need to do now is share a short version of the video. So I have a 30-second video of that flower feeling, so you guys can watch and see. And personally, I've watched this video, I don't know, so many times I can't even count. I love it, and when it first came out I was like, this is genius, and I do feel like it's very, very relatable. So congrats to you and your team. And here, let's check this out.
Thank
You know, these days you've really got to start taking care of yourself. You've got to pamper.
Ow.
Find time to unwind.
And now, you try it.
Learn to let it out. Then I discovered flowers, proven by actual science to give you a mental and emotional boost. So do yourself a favor. Just go get some flowers.
Yay!
There it is. Yeah. We had so much fun producing that video. Like you said, that's the 30-second version.
Yes.
On our website is the full 60-second version. And then we also have 15-second cut downs and 7-second cut downs and 3-second cut downs for the purpose of putting out in different forms of media based on attention spans and formats and things like that.
Yeah, so you're mentioning some of the assets that are available, and for this campaign to be even more successful than what it's already had been, and reach more consumers, we need participation from florists. So what can they do to join the efforts?
So there's a couple of things. The first one is, and this is every time I explain this to people who have not heard this before, I'm always met with the look of puzzlement, because what we did is we took a very, very unorthodox approach. And this, I think, is by virtue of the fact that we are a nonprofit trade association. So CalFlowers does not have skin in the game from a profitability standpoint or from really any standpoint other than we are an association made up of industry stakeholders, and the board is made up of industry stakeholders. So we simply want to see the market grow for fresh cut flowers. So what I'm leading into here is this unorthodox approach that we've taken where all of the assets that we've created, and when I say that, what I mean is not just the films, but the full range of logos for that flower feeling. There's Instagram posts, Instagram stories. There are audio spots that can be used on the radio or also in other social media platforms. And in our case, the audio was used for Spotify radio. So if you were a free Spotify subscriber, then the ads that come up as you're listening, our ad would have been included in that batch if you were in our target group. So We have posters, like point of sale posters. We've got all sorts of professionally produced, high quality assets, and they are 100% free and 100% available to anybody in the industry who wants to get their hands on them. And the reason that we did it this way is because, well, it's several reasons actually. The first one is we truly are here to benefit the industry, and we think that if individual companies can get a hold of these assets and use them to grow their own business, mission accomplished for CalFlowers. That's one thing we definitely want to see. We want every individual company to have the opportunity to grow their business through these marketing tools in a direct, active fashion by using them through your own marketing channels. That has a secondary benefit for the broader industry, where every time a company does this, they're amplifying the message across social media. So all of the metrics and numbers and analytics that I have in my head, that we have on paper, they don't include all that secondary amplification that's done by the industry itself. So we all know that the floral industry is absolutely full of top-notch social media presences, influencers, images. Our presence is astoundingly strong on numerous social platforms as a flower business by virtue of all the individual companies that do such great work. So we want to see all these channels that exist already amplify the message, and the best way to do that is to give the assets to everybody and ask them to push them out there for us. So the third benefit is it gets people really tightly in touch with what we're doing and the impact the assets have, how their own consumers are reacting to them, that sort of thing. And I think that motivates stakeholders in the industry to want to keep this thing going, to want more assets in the future, the next creative campaign after the self-care campaign, more millions upon millions of exposures across social media, and ultimately more cut flower purchases as a result. So it's kind of a way to like sort of pull the industry together under one banner. And we knew that the best way to do that was to eliminate all the obstacles and just give it away for free. So the way this works is anybody who's a stakeholder in the industry can go to thatflowerfeeling.org, click on the partners tab, and then send an email to info@thatflowerfeeling.org. Once that email is received, we will set you up with your access to the website, the back page of the website. And once we provide that to you, you can log through and you'll see the full range of assets that you can download right to your own computer and use in any way that you see fit. And I would like to actually encourage people, maybe even on a future Mornings with Mayesh episode, to share back with us what you are doing with the assets. We've seen people create ribbons with the logo and the color scheme. We've seen gift boxes. There's been talk about truck wraps for delivery vans. Even as far as Armelini wrapping their trucks to move across country and keep spreading that flower feeling. So there's a lot of different ways to deploy these assets. And it so happens that the retail side of the floral industry is among the most powerful creative engine that exists in the United States today. And we hope to harness that energy and get the entire retail community behind us and really pushing this out there and having some fun with it. You know, fun is a big part of what we're trying to do with this campaign. We're going to try and keep that with future campaigns as well. And so we really want you to go out there and have fun and use this to grow your own business. So that's a really big piece of what we're trying to do and the strategy that we're using, because we really want everybody to come together under one banner on this.
I love it. So guys, I posted the link for thatflowerfeeling.org/partners and also put in the email address. That will of course be in the show notes. So that way, if you're listening to the podcast or maybe you're on Instagram right now, you're not sure where those links are, we'll have them on the blog for you. And I just think it's amazing because I've seen, obviously I'm in marketing, so I see lots of different things, but like visually, especially that the flower background and in the flower shop that you guys created for the set, is just really stunning and, is just very appealing, to all different kinds of markets in all different parts of our industry. And I'm just really excited, like what you said, to see what people kind of come up with on their own. Because I know there's been lots of different things, and TikToks and kind of that type of thing too. People like just taking even just kind of the basic, information from here and kind of spinning it into their own thing, which I think is really powerful too.
Definitely. It's been a fun part because so far we've seen about 270 companies in the floral industry have downloaded the assets and started to push them out through their own social. And this is true of
Great.
everything from global breeders down to retail florists and everybody in between. So we're seeing participation in every segment of the industry, which is really, really encouraging in the
Yeah.
stage that we're at right now.
Very, very exciting. For some of those that might be on the fence about downloading assets and sharing them with their community, or maybe they're just, busy or whatnot, or, we want people to kind of make that time to at least get the assets, see what they are. And so, I think you mentioned earlier about, some of the very positive outcomes that you're seeing from this campaign so far. So can you share some of those statistics with us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. This is kind of the fun part, actually, is sharing
Yes.
some of the successes that we've had. So, it, in order to put some context around this and help people understand how we arrived at these numbers, because we want people to understand there's real credibility and validity to the numbers that we're presenting to the industry. It's important that people understand kind of where they came from. So since we're marketing an industry, so if you're in the marketing game, let's say you're Adidas shoes or something, and you put out a campaign on your new shoe. Well, the way you measure the success of the campaign is how many shoes you sell. It's
Right.
quite straightforward when you're in a proprietary company situation. For us, it's different because we're marketing a product, a generalized product. We're marketing an industry, so to speak, which in our case is the fresh cut flower industry in the United States. And so we had to determine what are the best ways to measure the results of the campaign. Now, there's two primary ways to do this. The first one is what level of exposure and engagement do we get on the various marketing buys that we did across social media channels? So that's direct social data. Speaking to a group of retail florists, which are the best marketers in the floral industry, hands down, almost everybody listening to this understands the importance of your metrics, whether you're looking at your Google results or your Instagram results or whatever the case may be. Everybody should be pretty familiar with that. And our numbers are very strong, very efficient, and stunningly large. So that's one side of it. The other side is we contracted with a company called Lucid. And the reason we hired Lucid is they're considered to be the gold standard in this other form of market analytics that we decided to deploy. And that is post campaign exposure shifts in consumer sentiment. So the way this is measured is every time someone sees one of these sees our campaign, the device they're using is embedded with what's called a pixel. And then at some point later on, these consumers are invited through email, a solicitation, or whatever, to do online surveys. And usually it's in exchange to get airline points or hotel points or whatever the case may be, whatever sort of rewards are being exchanged for these online surveys. So when they go to this online survey site, based on the pixels on their device, the survey site then knows if they have or have not been exposed to the campaign at that point. And so it then organized them into two groups, a control group and a test group. And of course, this is all done without the knowledge of the consumer. But the same survey questions are then given to both groups. And when you compare the answers to those questions, you now see the difference between the group of consumers that did see the campaign and those that didn't see the campaign. And that becomes very powerful, statistically relevant information. And so what we found, kind of like the most important point of data that came across from that particular study, is there was an 8 point or an 8% shift in consumers that were exposed to the campaign in their intent to purchase cut flowers within the next month. And so what that means is that 8% of the people that saw the campaign who previously did not intend to buy flowers now were telling us that they do intend to buy flowers sometime in the immediate future. And that's huge because our campaign was it reached 60 million social media exposures. So if you take, and that's 48 million consumers, some were exposed multiple times. So if we reached 48 million different consumers, which we did, and 8% of that 48 million decides to go out and buy cut flowers, and we then apply the average value of a cut flower sale in the United States, then it would indicate that we have kind of potentiated about $200 million in increased revenue for the floral industry And that campaign ran for about 10 weeks. In 10 weeks, we created about $200 million in additional revenue for the industry, across the industry. So, and that's at retail price point value. So it's very easy to see the impact moving backwards down the supply chain of that amount of increased revenue for the industry in such a brief period of time. So our goal now is to get more and more and more weeks out there on social media. So that is where the fundraising piece comes in, which we'll obviously talk about as well, because that's a very important part. But essentially, what we determined with our level of efficiency is for every dollar that we spend on social media, we're getting roughly 60 new exposures. The other thing is, and again, speaking of retail florists, you really understand some of these marketing analytics at a very deep level. You have your exposure stats, but then you also have your engagement stats. And so when I talk about engagement, what I'm really referring to is when someone saw the post, did they interact with it in any way? Did they like it? Did they share it? Did they save it or favorite it? Did they comment on it? Did they link to it in any way? Did they forward the link to anybody? All these are considered engagements. And for the most part, like for example, on the Instagram platform, 1.5% engagement level is considered standard. In standard marketing practice, if you're in a marketing boardroom and you're hitting 1.5 to 1.8%, you're doing really good. You're right there where you need to be. Your dollars are being spent well, and you're happy with those results. We're hitting about a 15% engagement rate on many of our posts, rarely lower than 7 or 8, and in some cases high as 15 to 22. And that's across Instagram, that's across Pinterest as well. And so what we found is that consumers that are exposed to our campaign, our assets on their social, whether it's posts or the full video or whatever, are really engaging at a very, very, very high level. And that's a very positive look for the efficacy of the campaign. And part of the marketing results we've ended up with, they've actually led to 2 major award nominations. Both these are European-based associations because our marketing agency is in Holland. But we were a finalist for a creative award, the ADCN Dutch Creativity Awards, back in October. And we ended up taking second place to DHL. DHL beat us out on that one. And then we've recently, just last week, been nominated for another award. There's a global marketing award. And this one is awarded by marketing media, not marketing professionals, but people in marketing media. So they simply found our campaign. We didn't submit it. They recognized it for the value that it has, and they went ahead and threw it on a finalist list. And so we're waiting to find out the outcome of that. But the take-home point is that in the world of marketing, we are hitting on all cylinders in terms of the quality of the campaign, the look and feel of it, the effectiveness of it, the expected longevity of it. We seem to have hit an absolute home run right out of the gate here, which is really, really encouraging considering the amount of work and resources that we put into this, which has been considerable.
All the numbers, honestly, are just astonishing. When I first heard about this project, we were excited, but you never know what's going to happen, right? You're taking a risk, you're taking a gamble, you're doing something that hasn't really been done before on the level that you guys were doing it. So to be able to, at the end, kind of the beginning for you guys, right? The end of the testing piece of it, reaching, 48 million people, increasing intent to buy by 8%, increasing revenue by 200 million. Is that what you said?
Yes.
I mean, for every dollar spent, getting 60 new exposures. I mean, that's just amazing. So I just wanted to say congratulations. And guys,
Thank you.
if that doesn't make you want to look at these assets and see what you can do and how you can use them to help your business and help the industry, I don't know what will, but those are just freaking astonishing numbers. So exciting.
Yeah, thanks for your analysis on that. Coming from a marketing professional and social media professional, that is very meaningful coming from you, Yvonne.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just so exciting. So, okay, let's see. So we talked about the assets that are available. I put the link there. But some people don't want to use what everyone else is using, right? So like for florists that don't want to utilize already designed marketing assets, even though they're gorgeous. And I did put I changed the background up because I was like, I think I have like a YouTube cover that I can like put and you guys can see a little bit of that. But as we mentioned before, I think you guys have, utilized some influencers and they've kind of done their own thing. So can you talk a little bit about, what are some other ways that people can, use some of these things, but create their own, like do their own spin?
Well, the beauty of this is, so it's interesting. My background is flower trading, not marketing. And one thing I've found is I've gone out and I've made numerous presentations around the industry on that flower feeling and what we are trying to accomplish and that sort of thing. And what I found quite quickly is when I was engaging with groups of farms, with importers, with wholesalers, things like that, the conversation stays very general and very high level. But then when I interact with retail florists, all of a sudden it's like a deep dive marketing discussion. And I find it's completely different. And so what I've learned very quickly throughout this process, and I mentioned this earlier on when I was describing the assets, is that the retail florists that at least that I've engaged with on this issue are top-notch marketers. They know exactly what they're doing out there, which is not true of many, like for example, in the context of my own company, Wayfex, it's strictly business to business, and it's a limited product range. There's not a massive amount of high level marketing involved in that. Or if you're an Ecuador rose farm, you need to get your name out there, around the industry, but that's about the extent of it. What I found is that the retail florists, the front line of our industry, are master marketers, and so my actual answer to that is I can't wait to see what everybody at the retail side does, because I'm not the creative type that comes up with those ideas. I'm just the
Right.
guy that gets to sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor once everybody gets their hands on these assets. But one thing I will say is that there is a very primary way that everybody can support us. And so it's kind of, to take a step back from it a little bit, if we can all agree that having this campaign out there, splashed across social media on a near year-round basis, will be truly beneficial for the industry. And I think it's safe to say that we've done our part to establish that. I don't know if everybody's convinced or not, but I think we've done our part to show that that's the reality of the situation. Then the next step for us is to ask the industry to get behind us, to rally behind that flower feeling and support that flower feeling financially. And so the model that we've selected for this is we have set up a new nonprofit foundation. It's called That Flower Feeling Foundation. And the only reason this foundation exists is to receive voluntary contributions or donations from the floral industry and then convert that into more marketing spend. It's the only reason the foundation exists. It is a separate business entity from CalFlowers. CalFlowers board will govern the foundation during its infancy, during its launch period. But there may come a time in the future when the board can be populated from across the industry, other stakeholders that are not specific to the CalFlowers board. And so what we've done is create a vehicle to make this thing a reality for decades to come. And the way that it's going to work is that we need every company in the floral industry to make a contribution, a cash contribution to the foundation. And the way we've decided to structure this is kind of what we would call a micro donation approach. So, of course, any company donation has to be relative to the size, and therefore, net profitability of the company. So, if there's $100 million bouquet maker or importer, their contribution should be significantly different from for example, single location retail florist. There's just an obvious difference in size and revenues that needs to be accounted for. But having said that, in no case are we asking for anybody to give us more than 1/100th of 1% of their gross annual revenues. That's true microfunding. And so, in the case of a small or single location retail florist, if you go to the link that's showing on screen right now, which is our classy crowdfunding platform that the donation uses to receive its funds. Then you'll see a list of company revenues and then the suggested annual donation amount, or broken down into a monthly recurring donation amount, which is how most of our donors have come in, is once a month charge either through ACH or through credit card or through PayPal, whatever is easiest. And so in the case of our smaller companies in the industry, we're asking for about $30 a month ongoing for the next 3 years. Larger companies, like I will say that Mayesh Wholesale was one of the original contributors to the campaign. Pat Dawson has been on the campaign committee since the get-go and was very integral in helping get this thing off the ground. But Mayesh made a very serious contribution that demonstrated their intent to continue to support the campaign. And I think that Mayesh's customers should be aware of that. And it's not just Mayesh, it's many of the Ecuador and Colombian farms that support the Mayesh supply chain and everybody else's supply chain. We've gotten support from Kreisel. We've gotten support now from various breeders. We presented at the Dutch Flower Show just a couple of weeks ago, had a tremendous response. So the major Dutch exporters are getting on board now. We have companies like Sun Valley Floral Farms, Holland America, DD Flora. We have dozens of retail florists have already made their contributions. Some very large and well-known, some very small that just heard about us, heard about the funding efforts, and have jumped on board right away. And so a big part of my conversations throughout the industry these days are about really encouraging everybody to fund the campaign, to fund the foundation, which allows us to get back out there in social media on a regular basis. And we do have plans. So the next push for social is designed to start in January, which accompanies that very heavy push in the self-care space that we've decided to recategorize flowers. That kind of early, mid to late January, when all the gym memberships are being done and the Pelotons are being sold and everybody's focused on self-care. That's a great time for us to get back out in the market and help cement Fresh Flowers' place in that category. And we just need everybody's help to do it. So far, for this year, this first calendar year of the foundation, we've raised somewhere in the neighborhood of about $670,000. And because we're asking everybody to do a 3-year pledge or a 3-year commitment of their recurring payments, that already puts us, close to the $2 million range over the next 3 years. And we haven't really started the hard push on funding yet. So far, we've had a presentation to the CalFlowers group at Fun and Sun, a small presentation at SAF, and then a big booth at the IFTF show in Holland. But those are different industry segments. The most valuable segment and the one that we're most excited about engaging with on this topic is the retail florists. And in my mind, if we can get 1,000 or more retail florists to make their recurring contributions, the impact on our industry will be massive. And if I were sitting as an owner or a marketing manager of a florist or event company or something like that, I would view this as a tremendous opportunity to create a passive marketing engine that's always working in the background, always bringing more business, always orienting more consumers towards our product line without me having to do anything about it other than just make a small monthly contribution, along with me and all my peers and all my vendors in the industry and all the farms I rely on and all the trucking companies I rely on. If everybody pitches in, we'll easily meet our financial goals. And not only will we stay out there in social with tens upon tens of millions of more engagements, but we'll also be consistently creating new professional marketing assets and continuing to give them away to the floral industry. So it's just a massively beneficial win-win for everybody involved. And we're just asking you to take a look at this funding opportunity as just a small percent of your existing marketing budget, just to redirect it into the foundation and let this team of incredible marketing agencies that we've assembled do their work at a highly professional level and make sure that we continue to grow the fresh flower market in the United States.
Beautiful. Yeah, guys. I mean, this is so powerful, and the donation sponsorship piece is, really, I feel like going to just take everything to the next level, continuing to create these beautiful, visually stunning assets that they've already gotten started with. I can't wait to see kind of what the next steps are and what the creative agency comes up with, because they did such an amazing job the first time. So it's just really exciting, and you just loop that back to the stats that you shared earlier. And when you're looking at the different levels, I feel like most of the people that are going to be watching or listening are kind of those florists that you're talking about. And the yearly or monthly payments are really very small. So, and when you consider what you can get back from that and what it's doing for the industry as a whole, the industry that we all love and cherish and support our families with, it's a no-brainer for me. So it's beautiful.
Thank you for that. That's a really great way of summarizing it, and we definitely see eye to eye on this issue.
Yeah, very exciting. So you did talk about, like, you have your next steps. You're gonna have a social push coming in January, still focusing on self-care, which is really brilliant. I mean, I get a kick out of like the initial campaign that you guys came out with, just because, I drink green smoothies for my self-care too. And I like have tried these crazy things. When I saw her screaming, I do that once in a while now, just from that, like, obviously I have flowers in my house, so it's a little different for me, but yeah, totally relate to that. And it's like flowers are just so much easier.
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of people just how relatable it is, from men also.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of men that try a lot of different self-care routines, and we just thought making light of it was a really nice way to engage. And the beauty of that campaign we created is, in the world of marketing, you're looking at the longevity of the campaign, how long it can be effective without refreshing it. And we think we've got about a 2 to 3 year window of continuing, because another important part of the marketing game is repetition. We got to keep getting out in front of the same people over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So that'll be in our next 2 or 3 big social media pushes, which are kind of done in chunks as you buy space on social. That's one effect that we're going to see, and we're going to then continue to measure and see how the repetition has the opportunity to actually increase the efficacy of the campaign, in addition to getting more exposures. But I mean, ultimately, if we've already exposed 48 million consumers and there's about 330 million, and our target is 25 to 35, skewing heavily towards female, we've already hit the majority of the US population that we're targeting at least once. So most of our next round of efforts will be repetitive marketing, which is it's like gold in the world of marketing, is to get back
Right.
in front of people over and over and over again. So we feel very confident we've got a great opportunity to do that, and the firms that we're working with are so good at getting the placement right and using our first round analytics to guide our next round of media purchases and things like that. So we're going to get better at this as time goes on, even after a successful first run. And we just want everybody in the industry to be part of it, to know about it, keep an eye on it, keep us in your peripheral vision, watch what we're doing. And then over time, as people choose to donate, we'll also post your logo to the website so people have an understanding of who in the industry is participating. And we want to do some community building for those who are really focused on this industry marketing. And we'll start getting some newsletters out to you. We'll do financial reporting from the foundation itself for the purpose of transparency. People understand where the dollars are being spent and that sort of thing. And so there's a lot more coming down the turnpike as we kind of continue to build out the concept of that flower feeling and what it means to the industry. The period we've already gone through is create, launch, and fund. Those are the 3 big first steps. And then as we're now into that third step, in the early stages of that third step, that allows us to take a step back and really look at what comes next in terms of building out a robust marketing machine that's going to endure for this industry. It's a very exciting time to be involved in this, for sure.
For sure. And you mentioned, Patrick's involvement, Pat Dawson, our CEO, and also my boss. And I just have to say, like, for him to be excited about something says a lot. he is in front of a lot of different things. He, is sometimes super involved with my team even, because he has such a passion for marketing and ideas. And when he loves an idea, he will literally like run through walls for it, So, and he really believes in it. So this is one of those things, and I always trust his gut like 100% because he's had he's just very seasoned and experienced in that. So, when he told us about this and just we heard his excitement about it, and Ali was involved too in some of those meetings, and so I just we knew before we even saw anything that it was going to be something special. So I think that says a lot. So any of you guys that know Pat, you know how he is, and he loves this. He loves this campaign and really believes in it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been involved at all.
Totally, I agree with everything you're saying. Pat is kind of like my like human litmus test
Yes.
in some ways. He's very, very pragmatic, and like you said, Yvonne, he's been exposed to so many things in his time in the industry, and so he seems to have this ability to cut to the chase real quick and determine, does this thing have legs? Is this legitimate?
Right.
And he's been on board with this. It took some convincing in the early months of discussion to bring him around and see. Obviously, he was part of the board and the committee, so he was deeply involved in all these discussions. But once the light bulb went off for Pat, he's thrown his full support behind us, and we really, really appreciate it. His involvement's been very integral. And like you said, Ali's been involved in a lot of these discussions as well. And so it's great to see the participation at Mayesh and across the industry. It's really been like I said at the beginning of the conversation, it's been very gratifying for me to see a lot of people come together. I've gotten personal emails from some of the industry legends out there that have just expressed such a high degree of support and gratitude for what CalFlowers has undergone. And Pat's the first guy that'll sit back and say it's going to be great if it endures, if it has legs. And so that's kind of what it all comes back to is all this good work that we've done, it has to be perpetuated. And so we knew we had to convince the industry to get behind us on this. And I hope we've given enough ammunition to everybody in the industry to really feel like that they can attach themselves to this. Because if that becomes a reality, then this will endure. It will go on for decades to come. We will grow the U.S. market. And, there's been plenty of other discussions around national floral marketing. Some of those are legitimate discussions that have potential for success as well. But this one's right here, right now, right in front of everybody, already out in the marketplace, already a proven success at the national scale, and beloved by pretty much 100% of everybody I've interacted with inside and outside the industry. So when you've got this good of an opportunity, we just hope that people recognize that and just take, even those who are listening to this now, if you could just take 5 minutes, go to the foundation funding page. It's so easy to make a contribution, and especially to make it recurring, and just decide what's right for you and your marketing budget, and give us the support that we need to keep this thing going. Every time a company does that, it builds more momentum for the next company to do it. We're looking for a wildfire effect where it starts to burn through the whole industry, and we'd like to get to 1,000+ retail florists, and we got to start somewhere. Right now we're in the dozens. You can count in the dozens, but we haven't really started to engage with that level of the industry at any high level. So this is kind of a first step in that direction. We hope that our message is clear and understandable, and that people can really make the decision to get behind us on this.
Awesome. Yes, guys. So that link, the funding page is in the comments. Again, that will be up on our blog. And, I am encouraging you too. Just, I'm not part of CalFlowers. Obviously, Mayesh is, Pat is. But this is something that we really believe in. And so I'm really excited, Steve, that you came on today to share all about that flower feeling and what you guys have accomplished so far. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. And I know you got a great group listening today, and it's a fantastic program. I'm proud to be part of it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So visit that link that's in my comments. That'll be on the blog. And if you guys have any questions, of course, always ask. I saw Anna put in a comment says, it's an incredible campaign. I love everything about it. The videos, the posters, the social media posts. Great job. So thank you so much, Anna,
Thank you,
for
Anna.
sharing
Appreciate
that.
that. Anna's been
Um,
very supportive from the get-go. She's been really good at amplifying our message on her own channels as well, which are not insignificant. Anna has a
yeah.
lot of exposure out there, so great to have you behind us, Anna. We appreciate that.
Yeah, she does. And so, and also, like, if you want, I know Anna is really open, and she helps us create our Spanish videos every month. If you haven't seen those, make sure you check them out. But if you have any questions, I know she'd be happy to kind of share her insight too, and her experience in working with the assets from That Flower Feeling. So guys, check it out. I have all the links. Also, you can check them out on Instagram, because we all love the gram. So go ahead and follow them there. You can see what they're up to. And again, if you have any questions, just reach out. I can always connect you to Steve too, or his team. And make sure you go to that partners page too, and have fun with it, guys. We are really excited. And like Steve said, maybe as we get started and you guys start using these, reach out, let me know, and we can maybe do a little round table and do a little show off on what you guys do. A little show and tell. I love show and tell, right?
I would be very excited to see something like that.
Awesome. Good. Well, that's a wrap, guys, on today's Mornings with Mayesh. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. And again, mark your calendars for next Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing our first Flower Jeopardy game show. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I will see you all soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.